That's enough of that noise. Right, there we go. Oh, I've lost my voice already. That's not the best of starts, is it? Hi guys, sorry I couldn't say hello because I was caught with making a lot of noise and what have you. Good gracious, you mean I might have actually got the sound right the first time? Well, there you go. It had to happen one week, didn't it? Crikey. Oh, that's better. I must take more water with that. If only, those days are long gone. Right, now then, let me just switch back to a clean sound. Which is kind of close enough for jazz, but where is the tuner on this blooming thing? Hang on, let me have a look. There is a tuner somewhere. Where is it? Oh no, that's not it. Right, okay, don't worry about it. I'll use this one instead. How are we doing then, guys? Because obviously it wasn't one last week, so I was out last Friday, which makes a change. But there we go. So tonight, as promised, and let me just get this thing in. I think it's not far off, but oh dear, really is it? Oh no, no, my tuner don't like me. Oh well, what the heck? I don't like that one. That one's gone funny. That's telling me it's a D. It's definitely not a D. Oh, that's not bad. There we go. Close enough for jazz, as they say. Hi guys. Right. Okay. So as promised, and I put this in the Google Drive. The Google Drive, for those that are new tonight, is in the description, or it certainly should be anyway. And you can click onto that, and there's all the previous stuff, well, stuff from the previous weeks obviously, but I've also put in tonight the stuff because we thought we were going to have a look at bar chords. Okay, so for those of you that have not tried or have tried and have problems with it, don't worry, because most people do have problems with it, and I see the same problems literally day in, day out. It's one of those things really that you kind of got to get into it at some point. But oh dear, you don't play the bar chords, the bar chords play. Yeah, well, yeah, there is that. I mean, they are a pain. Okay, now quite literally, they can be a pain. So the first thing we must do is obviously health and safety, because it is very important, and it is because, you know, as those of you who've been here from the start know that I have problems because I pushed it too far in one day, and I will have problems forever. Luckily I know when it's coming, and I know how to get around it now, but it's took many years, you know. Yeah, bar that is how you spell it. If you do get any aching, that's the part. I mean, any tingling or pain in the tips of your fingers, tough. Okay, you've got to go through that. Sorry, that isn't going to do you any harm. All right, it won't. But, and this is a but, this is a common place when you start going bar chords in between sort of the thumb and the rest of the fingers, or the palm of the hand really, I suppose. You get any problems in there, aching or shooting pains up the arm, all right, because don't forget, we're using tendons that we don't really use for much else, to be honest with you. And we're trying to avoid RSI, which is repetitive strain injury, sometimes known as the typist disease, okay, because that's what they're doing when they're doing all that. And me, that's my typing. That's why that finger's actually, do you know what, this is something that came up the other day, and before I forget about this, because I had forgotten about this, and I want other people people that have been playing a while, this might sound strange, but a friend of mine, he lined his hands up. Okay, so you can line them up with the creases in your palms, okay, because your hands are pretty much the same, all right? And when you line them up, and he said, look, the little finger on my left hand, which is his fretting hand, is actually longer. And he reckons it's got longer through playing. No jokes, please. I'm trying to keep this clean. I tried that, didn't work, by the way. Okay, and then I looked at mine and thought, hang on, mine's done the same. So if anyone else is out there, this is a really strange thing, I know, but I'd never come across it before. And it was literally just before the break for the holiday, so I haven't had a chance to really see anyone to try it. So kind of line your hands up and see if the fretting, because your hands are supposed to be the sort of same really, but my little finger is actually longer. Not by much, probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 mil, I don't know. And it'd be interesting to see if other people have, especially if you're left-handed, because then obviously that one would be longer. So kind of strange really, but there we go. But like I say, any of those achings, I digress, I do apologise. Just give it a rest, then come back. Yours is a bit bigger as well. This is really weird. I have never come across this in all the years of playing. And it's help. That's really weird. Do they get longer from playing? I mean, I know my thumbs, like obviously that thumb bends over far more than that one, but that is because of playing and obviously being in the classical position for a lot of things. And obviously that's where we're going to start with tonight, with the bar chords. Okay. So that's what you second to a seventh. Ooh, I did see someone the other day that went, was it 10 to 19 or something? Honestly, I've just literally recorded Beat It, which will be coming out on this guitar, funnily enough, very soon, within the next couple of weeks. And I just cannot get the stretch that Eddie did. I mean, you know, it was 12 to 19 with those pull-offs. My hands just aren't big enough. So I had to cheat and do some tapping, but I'm in good company because a lot of people do that. So there we go. Now then, bar chords. Right, so let's break it down, okay? You only need 2 bits of information when you are playing a bar chord. End of story. That's all you need, okay? Because a lot of people get really wound up and I've got to know this and I've got to know that and I've got to know the other. Well, not really. There's 2 bits of information, and what are they? Well, one, you've got to know where your notes are. On the E string and the A string, okay? You've got to know where your root note are. It's as simple as that. Now remember, just as a very quick recap, on the E string, if you just learn the 4 marker dots, you're always within 1 fret of knowing, and obviously if you know the names of the strings, which you should do by now, then you're always 1 fret of knowing where you want to go. Remember, it's G, A, B, C sharp or D flat on your E string, and then C, D, E, F sharp or G flat on your A string, okay? And that's all you need to know as far as that's concerned. All right, I will upload some charts. Actually, I just thought about that. I should have done that earlier. So you'll have practice material to, and what we're going to do is we're going to spread this over 3 weeks. Okay, tonight we're just going to look at majors and minors. Okay, and one of those is the hardest of all the bar chords. Okay, so if you get tonight, trust me, the rest of them are going to be really, really easy, okay? Next week, we're going to look at minor, major, and dominant sevenths, okay? In 2 different fingerboard positions, by the way. Those that take the root note from the E string, so in other words, the 6-string bar chord, and those that will take their root note from the A string, a 5-string bar chord, all right? And then on week 3, we're going to cover 6th chords, major and minors, okay, and sus4s. So that's pretty much. Now, in the Google Drive, we'll get to that next week because it's a major 7th, and I don't need to go into that tonight. So, what do we need to know? What's the other thing? Right, well, we need to know where our root note is as to where it's going to be, all right? The other thing is, you need to know your open chords, because all your bar chords are going to come from your open chords. It's as simple as that, all right? So, let's have a look at it. So, if we take the E string chords first, we're going to need to know 2 open chords. I'm going to switch cameras so we've got a close-up, all right? it should be fine. If the volume goes, let me know. All right, but it should be cool. I did check it earlier. So we're going to play an E shape. With a bit of volume might help. Okay. So that's your E major shape. All right. E major open chord and then E minor. Okay. That's it. That's all we need to know. So when we're looking at this, what we've got to remember is that when we do play an open chord, open E minor, the nut, which for those that don't know is that bit of plastic, bone or metal or whatever yours happen to be made of, is doing the bar for you. Okay, I know we call it open chords, but that nut is technically doing the bar for you. So what we've got to do is we've got to replicate that nut. Now obviously I can't get my bag of saws out and move the nut, can I? It's not going to happen. So this is why we have bar chords. So if I take that E shape, and the best way to approach this that I've always found is to play that E chord, say the major chord, instead of playing it with fingers 1, 2 and 3, play it with 2, 3 and 4. So in other words, we're playing exactly the same notes, we're just freeing up the first finger. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that shape up 1, 2, then 3 frets. Okay, and then my first finger is going to replicate that nut and go across all 6 strings. So all notes are coming out. Now then, there's a couple of things that we need to do with this first finger. All right, and the first thing is try and get as close to the fret wire as possible. And remember, it's the fret wire to the right that's making the sound. All right, I guess if you're left-handed, it'd be to your left. I'm thinking on my feet here, so bear with me. Okay, and I'm not left-handed. All right, and also the problem we've got is we've got these little valleys in our fingers, obviously where they bend. Okay, so when we're sort of learning bar chords, it's quite easy, and I'm going to try and line up my D string. There we go. Now all the others should be coming out, but the D string is a little bit rough because it's sitting in that valley of my finger. So we have to try and avoid that. It is a trial and error thing, okay? You're not going to get this in half an hour. You might do. If you do, some people do, in all fairness, but not many. I trust you. Trust me, you don't. All right? And the other thing if we can, is instead of going flat down, try and just tilt it a little bit away from you. So it's almost like you're doing that, because when we look at those valleys in our finger, okay, I'm trying to line the camera up here. If you're going flat on the finger, that's better. There, that's where the valleys are deepest. So if you go on the edge of that finger, they're not so deep. So that can help. The other thing, which is really important here, and I'm going to try, I might switch back to the other camera for this. There we go. Okay, that might be better. So my thumb should be in what we call the classical position. All right, the classical position is basically right in the middle of the back of the neck. Okay, now your thumb might not bend over as much as mine, but that's 40 odd years of playing. Okay, they were already a bit weird to start with, if I'm honest, you know, but everybody's got little idiosyncrasies and what have you, and double jointedness or whatever they call it. Okay, so thumb in the middle. Okay, now some people do play bar chords where they've got big hands, and like Hendrix did, and he would come up over the top. I can't do that, my hands aren't big enough. If you can do that, fine, do it that way, it's no problem. Okay, I don't see a problem with it at all. It didn't hold him back, did it? Let's be honest. And remember, Jimmy was unbelievable, and I mean unbelievable rhythm player, and he really was. Okay, the other thing we've got to be careful of as well is that we line up. I try and do the cross section. It's probably easier if I go back to the other camera on that. So I'm going to come in there. So you can see my thumb and my first finger, which is doing the bar, are lined up. If they're off axis like this, you will have to use a lot more pressure, and you don't want to. You only want to use the minimal amount. Minimal? Yeah, English was never my thing, nor maths, come to think of it, or any other subject at school, if I'm honest, but there we go. So we want to try and line up that finger. Now, why do we go in that classical position? Right, I'll show you why. It's simple. If I'm playing like that, that's where the fingers stretch the most. Now, if I take that hand out now and I move my thumb in, look what happens to my other fingers. It's the way they're wired, they go in. So hence, that's why we try and get in that classical position for a lot of things, not all things, okay? Because there are some people and some teachers that say you should always have your thumb there. Rubbish. I don't believe in that at all. I don't actually. I've seen people being told that, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. Especially when we're bending strings and oh goodness, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So let's have a recap. Okay. Thumb in the classical position, right in the middle of that neck. Your first finger, which is going to be your bar, is going to line up with it. And then we're going to play those shapes afterwards, which will make then our chords. So this is, it's an E shape, but my root note now, which is the 3rd fret on the E string, is a G. So hence, that's a G chord. They're all over the place, okay? So that is our G. All right, simple as that. Let me go back to that and let me switch. Now then, what's sometimes a good idea to do, okay, is particularly if you're not, what you need to make sure all these strings are coming out. If you're having trouble, let me just switch cameras again, okay, just put the bar down first. Now you can see, you can hardly see the fret wire there, okay, that's how close I am to it. Thumb lined up with it. There we go. So every note's coming out. Then I add that shape afterwards, and I'm still trying to make sure that every note comes out. Now then, this is a problem, and actually it's generally not a problem, but people think they've got a problem when they go to play a G, say, and they say, well, I can only hear the bottom strings, the others aren't sounding. And then I watch their picking hand, and it's because they haven't pushed the pick all the way through the strings. And they're generally rock players because they used to play in power chords. So therefore, excuse me 1 minute. So therefore, they're actually not used to hitting all those strings. So always look at that first, because you may be surprised, okay? Now then, if we're now doing that, now going back to the open chords, you always got to think your open chords first. When I played E, and then to play E minor, I just dumped that first finger. So I'm looking at shapes. So I go back to that G position, and there's my G. I dump my second finger now. I'm not being rude, I promise you. And now it's G minor. Okay. Again, make sure every note's coming out. Major, minor. All right. Great. So hopefully we can get a handle on that. If anyone's got a particular problem and they're something's not kind of not going right, put it in the chat box and hopefully I can address it. Okay. Now then, let's look at the root on the A strings. Right. Okay. So we'll look at, again, we're looking at the open chords. So when I play, let's just switch those cameras. There we go. So when I'm looking at an A shape, alright, so there's my A shape, that's A major. Now then, I'm just going to that minor shape now, so there's A minor. So I'm doing the same again. Now this is where we can look at things a little bit differently. We're going to deal with the minor first, okay? Because that's the easier one. So let's play the A minor with fingers 2, 3 and 4, which is the same shape as the E, just down a string. But we're not playing the low E string now if we can help it. So we're just playing chord. You play a chord sometimes, it just reminds you of a song, doesn't it? You know, and yes. And now I can't even think what it's called, but there we go. Anyway, so we're going to take that, we're going to move that 1, 2, 3 frets, put in the bar. Now I tend to go across all 6 there anyway, or what I try and do is just, when I'm playing that, my first finger, the bar finger, is just touching the edge of that E string, so if I happen to hit it, I don't hear it. So now I'm just playing the 5 strings. So now, because that note is a C, and it's an A minor shape, it's C minor. It's as simple as that, okay? So this is why you just need the 2 bits of information, all right? You need to know your root note, and you need to know your shapes of your open chords. So there's our C minor, okay? Now then, let's address the elephant in the room, because guys, this is the hardest. Let me just have a look. Sorry, I really struggle with avoiding having the B or, yeah, that is the problem. Now then, if you just try and tilt that finger a little bit, that will help. Make sure your thumb is actually lined up, and just experiment trying to feel where it feels more natural, that you can avoid those valleys. The A-shaped bar chord, the major shape with the root on the A string, is the hardest of all bar chords. Well, I haven't found another one that's harder yet, trust me. And I've been doing it long enough, so I don't think I'm going to now. All right, but we've got a couple of different ways of doing this. Now, you've got to try both, because you don't know which one's going to be best for you, all right? So if we start with that A shape, and then we move that up 1, 2, 3, okay? And the reason I'm going up 3 frets, by the way, is because the first position, which would be F and B flat, because of the nut, they're the hardest ones to hit, all right, or to hold down. You have to a little bit more pressure, especially if your guitar is not set up properly. Now, I believe there was a comment here by a file set for my Les Paul, because I'm not keeping the string breaker. Ah, all right, okay. Yeah, okay, but my high E keeps popping after going severely flat. The best thing I would do is to take it to a decent tech, unless you've got some decent tools. It's nut filing is not something I would do unless you know what you're doing. Or you could go and watch Paul Richards at Mile House Studios, okay? He does swear a lot, okay? I will put that out there, but he's a great guy, Paul, and he really is, and he knows his onions, and he's a really good teacher on his videos of how to set up guitars. More on that later, actually. Anyway, so that's why I'm going up here, because it's a little bit easier. So I would always start around the 3rd fret when you're practicing these, literally just so that you get them right there first, okay? So we're going to take that up, A shape, 1, 2, 3 frets, put the bar in at the 2nd fret. Now that is a little bit more of a stretch, you'd be surprised. So there's my 5 strings, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's one way of doing it. The other way, which is kind of preferred, okay, and there are many advantages to it, quite a lot actually, is to do it, and I would always do it this way. So I'm still hitting the 5 strings there, okay, but what I'm doing, if I switch camera, oh no, I don't need to switch cameras, I just need the, where am I? It's on my 3rd finger. What I'm doing is I am playing, I'm flattening off that finger to play the 3 strings together. So in other words, the D, the G, and the B strings, and that's our major triad, okay? But obviously I've got to kick it up so that my bar is doing that G note on the top. Now then, why has that got advantages? Well, when we start getting to E and above, trying to get 3 fingers in the same fret is a bit tricky. And if you're trying to go to F sharp, good luck. Okay, and I've got quite small fingers. So if you've got sausages as fingers, you're really going to struggle. Okay, so now then, the good news is it, what happens when people do start playing this? I'm going to try and do it deliberately. I'm muting out that top E strings. It's not all the world, that, guys, okay, because you've already got that note already in there. Okay, so it's not a major deal breaker. Okay, are there particular exercises you can to get the ring finger more flexible so you don't touch the high E string? Yeah, I mean, it's my fingers. Some people's, I've got a student at one of the schools, and his literally, they go like that. Oh, hang on, I'm on the wrong camera. I am an idiot. Oh, we all know that. His finger, like, I mean, mine doesn't bend over that much. His go right over, so he's got a real advantage there. I think it's just trial and error. Okay, but like I say, if now then, if you're going across all 4 strings and you bring in that A note with the C chord, okay, the top E string with that 3rd finger, that actually makes it a major 6th chord. Now they're a little bit marmitey, all right. We will get to that on week 3. But what if you're muting out like I am there deliberately? Okay, don't worry about it. It's not all the world, and it's just a question of trying to put a little bit of pressure down on the pad of that finger, trying to not let it move, and then try and bend the finger up a little bit. Don't forget, bar chords, guys, are like I say, they are literally a pain. All right, but once you're used to them, the world opens up. And no matter what key you're in, technically there's 2 bar chords in each one, in any key anyway, or at least. All right. So if that's muted out, don't worry about it, because you've still got all the notes that's necessary. Okay. The angle on your ring finger. Yeah, I don't think it's. Well, I guess I don't know if does the other one do it? Oh no, that doesn't do it as much. But then that's not surprising. It's not too bad. But like I say, this kiddie at school, it almost like goes 90 degrees. And I'm thinking, you lucky git. Mind you, a lot of them I am very jealous of, because they got really long fingers, and I've been stuck with these little things forever. But there we go. That's the way it is, you know. You get around things. It's as simple as that. I mean, Gary Moore, I don't think had particularly large fingers, if I'm honest. But it didn't really hold him back. So it's not an excuse. It's a reason. That's it. That's much better. But yeah, so just try that. I know some people's finger doesn't want to bend. You know, I mean, obviously, I don't know of any specific exercises. I would have thought just trying to play these chords would be the best exercise, if I'm honest. Okay. The other good thing about playing that is you've got your 4th finger free to kind of play a sus4 or whatever. So that's another good reason. But if you're struggling with that, there's absolutely no problem with using those 3 fingers instead. Okay, it's just that, like I say, once you start getting the E, I can just about manage it. F sharp, or yeah, I'm really struggling to get those 3 fingers in at the F sharp position, if I'm honest. But you know, you don't necessarily, you can play the F sharp down there. Don't have to play it up here, do you? Okay, so it's just, like I say, a little bit of trial and error. Excuse me 1 second. Oh, I am losing my voice. But the main things are, and rule number 1 is, if it starts to hurt, any aching, shooting pains up the arm, stop, and just rest it, and then come back to it. And then you will get, particularly in here, you will get that aching. All right, that will happen. All right, I'm, you know, pretty much put money on that, because you're just doing stuff that you don't normally do. Okay. And don't forget, always learn your open chords, because the more open chords you learn. Now then, I will actually just slightly address this is part of what you may have heard this called the caged system, all right, which is C, A, G, E and D. So C, A, G, E and D, all right. So you can use any of those chords for the bars. Now that's basically what we've done with the A and the E. The C isn't too bad. You can play like that's now a D because I'm using a C shape. I've moved it up, where are we, 2 frets, put the bar in. That's not too bad. The D, oh heck, will now be an E. That's not too bad. But the G is a killer. Ah! Okay, because that bar's got to be 3 frets lower than the 3rd finger. It's something I've never really done much of. The only time I really got into it, to be honest with you, was when I was doing my grade 8 and also my teaching diploma. That's the only times I really had to go into it in any depth, because you had to learn it for that, so which is fair enough. I sometimes use that C shape, that's for sure. Ah, you're left-handed. I got some. Oh no, right. Ah, motorcycling in the cold. Well, first things first, I got my bike back. It was in the garage for like 3.5 weeks, and he's a great guy who does it, but he's really busy. Yeah, I managed to get out for only an hour yesterday. And guess what? There's a storm coming here over the next couple of days, so that sorts that out, doesn't it? Yeah, motorcycling in the cold. Yeah, actually, I bought some Furigan heated gloves because I did go out a few times over Christmas, battery ones. I'll tell you what, they were brilliant. I mean, they're not cheap, but my goodness, it made life a lot easier. But yeah, I know I'm motorcycling in the cold is not a lot of fun. But I can thoroughly recommend those gloves though. Bar chords are torture. Yeah, they can be, but it's just kind of sticking with it and doing a bit at a time, you know. Don't think there's many songs I can recommend where you've got like half open chords, half bar chords. Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis is a really good one to do that. But you know, there are advantages because, you know, say for in that song, if you play the F like this as a partial bar and then you play F minor like that as a partial bar, that's fine. But if you played it as a bar chord, you only got to remove a finger and then it's major to minor. So bar chords can make your life easier. Oh, you've got heated grips now. Yeah, that helps. Trouble is not with the backs of the fingers or the front of the back of the finger. I suppose it is really. I don't know. Yeah, I got them on mine and all. They do help. But those gloves, I must admit, made going out over Christmas bearable, because my other ones, I went out on that and I thought, right, I'm buying some because like I've frozen. So bar chords can sometimes be easier. So if you like said when we went, like, I don't know, A minor to a G to an F to an E, so A minor to a G, then an F, then an E. If I do a bar chords, A minor to a G, then an F, E, I'm basically just sliding it about. So that to me is a lot easier to do. And also, if you're kind of like, say you were in playing with an A minor, it's easy to kind of get those kind of funky notes and scratching. But with an open chord, I'm having to do a heck of a lot of work with my right hand to get the same thing. So you've got to weigh it up. I think you've got to get into it at some point, to be honest with you. But it's just like I say, doing a little bit at a time, and that's all you can do, and just build up those, you know, the strength sort of gradually. It's easy when you have points on your fingerboard. Points on. Right. So now that's interesting. I think what you mean is fret markers. Yeah, that's interesting point. I will change the guitar. I love this guitar. I'm not even sure if they've been released yet, so I might not be able to use it. I don't know. There are fret markers. Do you think I can see them? I'm guided by the ones on the side. I really wish. This is an absolute stonker of a guitar. Listen, I like I said, I've just done beat it on this, so the trem's got that much actual travel in it, and it still stays in tune. Really good trem. I got flame maple. I love glittery tops. I don't know why. I just like glittery things. Swamp ash and a flame maple neck. Where are we? Lock-in tuners. It's the new Harley Benton Fusion 4 stainless steel frets, which are absolutely immaculately finished, as they always are. But I'm going to have a word with them and say, can you build me one with some fret markers that I can see? I will change it. Sorry, I never thought of that. Right. I'll go back to one we can look at. Where are we? Oh, let's get the telly out. Nothing wrong with a good telly. There we go. I can see them now. Yeah, that is a problem. I know some people don't like fret markers, marker dots. You really do need personally, I do. You know, but there we go. But of course, in tune. Just okay. So, just to recap, okay. You've got to know your open chords. We're only dealing with the E and the A. It looks nice colour together. It is. I honestly, absolutely, and that's a lifer for me. That with the twin, I've got two of them. I've got one with the. That one's got the two humbuckers. I've also got an HSS. I love that double humbucker. I think it's really cool. But it just, the neck on it is so smooth. It's beautiful. At first I thought it was a little bit big, but actually I found it really comfortable. But there we go. So remember, you want your E shape and your E minor shape for your root on the E string, 6-string bar chords. Remember, E for E, A for A. So we're looking at G and G minor, okay? And then we've got our A-shaped chords, A and A minor for C and C minor, okay? I will upload some chord charts that are really good for practicing bar chords, okay? They'll all be bar chords. I'll upload some of them tomorrow, okay? Remember, your thumb should always line up with your first finger and be in the classical position, right in the middle of the neck, okay? Don't over pressurize. Check every note's coming out. Chances are, if it's not, it might be just sitting in the valley of the finger, that string. So just adjust. It does take ages to get used to. All right. Time from right, okay, yeah. That's a good one to do, actually. Yeah, I must do that. I know I've done a solo. I never played the rhythm to that one, although it is one of my it's one of my favourite songs. And who doesn't like Gilmore? 81 now, and he's still. Oh, I hope I'm still around at 81, and I hope I'm playing. That's for sure. But he's doing rather well. Yeah. Fly away, yeah. Oh, crikey. That is a good one, because you can even play like A, B, C, and then G, and then D. I'm I'm not used to playing it there, but you can play them all with root on E string bars. That's it. I tend to play it with that because I don't like moving around too much, but I'm fine with playing root A chords. But yeah, that's a really good one, actually. Funny enough, I got some kids doing that at school for the summer music cafe, which should be really good. Some year 11, so it's their like farewell song, and it's great. I love Lenny Kravitz, you know. He's great. He's a really great player. Yeah, I do. I play the D. That's it. But for those that want to play that, actually, really good suggestion there. So thanks for that. It's basically A, B, C. The B is just a passing chord to G, to D, and you can play them all with the same shape. A, because you start on the 5th fret. B, because the 7th fret is the B note. The 8th fret, which is the C. Then the G, which is the 3rd fret. Okay, and then up to the 10th fret for the D. So it's all just about knowing where your root notes are. Okay, but remember, guys, the most important thing is if it does start hurting, shooting pains, stop. Okay, come back to it. It's not a race; it's a marathon. Okay, you've just got to build that up. Yeah, just very, very carefully. Okay, so hopefully that'll help. Next week we're going to have a look at 7th chords, all right, where we start opening things up, and we'll look at some alternatives as well, because basically I mean, if you look at this is G major 7, which is horrible, but so is this, which is beautiful. So there are always nice alternatives that we can do. Okay, it's not technically a bar chord, that one, but in all fairness, they even let you play that in graded exams, you know. But there we go. D with root on E is more awkward. Yeah, me too. I would never play. I don't often play up that high with bar chords, although I'm trying to think. There are sometimes a Chili Pepper song, I can't remember which one it was, that you have to play up that high. And what else was it I was thinking of? Paul Weller, which is, I'm not even going to play it. I can't remember. You're the Best Thing. You're the Best Thing. Don't know, which was Style Council, obviously, which people vilified him for, but I really liked. Didn't last very long, sadly, but there we go. That was the 90s for you, anyway. So anyone else got any problems? Not even if it's just, or any questions, even if it's not to do with bar chords, all right? Anything at all? Or anyone got any gigs coming up as well? Because someone asked me yesterday, and I went, no, actually, I don't think I have. I don't think I'm going to see anyone at the moment. I know someone, yeah, Weller stuff is, he's a national treasure, if I'm honest. I know he's got a little bit of a reputation as being a little bit difficult. But, you know, whatever, you know, Gary Moore was. And he could be great. He could be, you know, we all get in bad moods, you know. It's as simple as that, really. But yeah. So, but I will tell you a funny story. Okay, about Steel Panther, because I don't know if you know, but they were on America's Got Talent the week after I was on it, on the semi-finals. And of course, as you're there for 11 days, it overlapped. So as we were coming to the end of our, like the show and what have you, they were there a few days before. And I got into the lift with, it must have been on the last day, because I got into the lift in a hotel and Satchel came in. I said, oh, and I think he said, oh, hello, man. He said, oh, I watched you last night. He said, brilliant, well done, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, man, don't worry about it. You know, it's cool. It's great to meet you and all that. And we had a bit of a laugh and took a couple of photos. And it wasn't until, only I could say this, honest to God, really. It wasn't until about 3 days later that I went, hang on a minute, he's as grey as I am. And I just realised that on stage he's wearing a wig. I'll find out I will find the photo out that we took in the lift, but it didn't register at the time. And honestly, he is as grey as I am. He's got a little bit more hair than I have, but it ain't the colour it is when he's on stage. I love Steel Panther, and they were really fun guys. You know, I mean, it makes you wonder how on earth well, they had to rewrite, didn't they, the stuff that they were doing. Yeah, yes, I will find the photo. I'll find it on my phone actually, because I'll know when it was. But it's honestly, he is. There's a great video actually. I don't know if anyone watches Anderton's TV, the shop that's here in the UK. And Lee did an interview with him, and you could just tell that Lee was, what's this bloke going to say next? Because he's a nightmare, but he's a lovely nightmare. And he really is a lovely night. He was, you know, I only met him in the lift, so we were only together less than a minute probably. But he was a really good guy. But obviously, if you know Steel Panther's material, I think you'd have a hard job to find a song that wasn't full of expletives or graphic sexual content, shall we say. I'm just trying to find it. There we go. Let me find it. It must be here somewhere. There's all the AGT ones. No, I've gone past it. So obviously they had to rewrite. I think they did 2 songs, didn't they? Well, they did one in the first round and obviously one in the second. So they had to rewrite those. Why is it? I could find that anytime I want, but now I can't find it. Oh well, I will try and hook it out and then I can put it on the screen. But yeah, he is as grey as I am. But it wasn't, like I say, it wasn't until 3 days later that it suddenly struck me. There he is. There we go. That's it. There we are. I don't know. Let me put you on the other camera because it's probably easier. So, oops. Let's see if it. Yeah. So there you go. He's as grey as I am. Excuse the shirt, but that was theirs. That wasn't mine. Wouldn't even let me keep it. I mean, honestly, you know, they got a $10 million budget and they couldn't let me. Oh, well, never mind. Got to keep the money coming in, haven't you? Yeah, Steel Panther are great though. I mean, honestly, yeah, their lyrics are. But I'll tell you what, they are bloody good musicians, and he is Satchel's. He used to be a teacher. I didn't even know that until afterwards. Actually, he used to be a guitar teacher as well in LA, I think. But yeah, he's a really good player, and he can shred. God, blimey, can't he ever? But I don't know how old he is. I don't think he's as old as I am. But I don't, looking at that, I don't think he's far off. But he's probably not the only one that's wearing a wig in that band. I don't know, allegedly, just in case. But if he is a bit of a nightmare. But go and watch that interview with Lee Anderton with him. And it was just a little bit awkward because you just don't know what he's going to say next. So putting them on that show, I would have thought was just, he's 55. Oh, right, okay, so he's 7 years younger than I am. Yeah, putting them on that show has got to be a bit of a risk. I mean, it's a bit like when, who is it? Killing in the Name of. Why do my brain, you know, they were booked, Rage Against the Machine. How could I forget that? I love Tom Morello. They were booked many years ago to do a live session for the BBC. And the BBC said, obviously, if you know Killing in the Name of, and you know the last bit, you know what the lyrics are. Is I'm not going to do what you tell me. So they promised the BBC that they wouldn't swear. Well, of course they did, and they got to that bit in the song and they said the full lyrics. But when you think about it, they were always going to, weren't they? Because the lyrics are, F you, I'm not going to do what you tell me. So the BBC were just a little bit naive then, and I believe that the first 4 went out and then they managed to cut it. I love them. They are great. They are great. No question. But I mean, the reason for them getting back together after they've been apart for a long time was because someone set up a Facebook page, didn't they? Because they were fed up in the UK of every year the Christmas #1 was the X Factor winner. So Simon Cowell got his money every year, you know, and what have you. So some bloke said, right, that's it, and we're going to make this #1. And then they said, if you make it #1, and they actually said, if it does go to #1, we'll do a free concert. And they did. They subsequently did. And then I think they enjoyed it so much, they got back together. And as far as I'm aware, and that was good, 10, 15 years ago. As far as I'm aware, they're still out there gigging now. But they are a great band. They're very, very different. Tom Morello is, without question, a very unique guitar player. It's a bit like Johnny Marr. They're kind of out there on their own, really. And John Frusciante as well. Although you wouldn't have had John Frusciante without Hendrix, that's for sure, because he's very similar in a lot of ways. To me, the only real guitarist for the Chili Peppers. I know Dave Navarro is a good player. Well, they've all been good players, but I don't think the Chili's are really the Chili's unless it's John Frusciante, and I know he's in. And then he's out, and then he's in again, and I believe he's in at the moment. Anyone ever watched them live? Because I've heard mixed reports, if I'm honest, by some die-hard Chili Peppers fans as well. So I don't know, and a couple of them have said they saw them live and they weren't particularly brilliant. But I find that hard to believe in a lot of ways, if I'm honest with you. But there we go. I don't know. What do you think on the partial bar? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can. Thumb bars, yeah, absolutely fine. So you can kind of play, if I play that. Where are we? Or that, sorry. So a lot of people will play that. Okay, so it's like a G. It's still a G if you play 5 strings. But then they'll bring their thumb over the top. I can't do it. My hands just will not do it. They are just too small. But Hendrix did that, you know. Hendrix was pretty much always, you'd be hard pressed to see him play it like that. Okay, he'd be doing that. Although in all fairness, he'd also play that just that partial bar F shape, and for one very good reason. You can get 3 other chords from it that are all diatonically correct, or they're all harmonised, so they're good substitutions, by just using that 4th finger. And you know, so here we go. It's just a much more nicer way of playing. And don't forget, if you're playing with a bass player, don't nick his frequencies. They don't like it. You've seen it. Yeah, Frusciante is a really... You've almost got Hendrix done. Yeah, you're lucky, man. I really wish I could. I'll tell you, I really do. But the Chili's, yeah, I must admit, they don't play over here very often. They haven't done an awful lot over here. But I would like to go and see them. Funnily enough, I am actually just, or should I say, rereading Scar Tissue, which is Anthony Kiedis, or Kiedis, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. His autobiography, which is a heck of a ride. It's probably in my top 3 books of all time, if I'm honest. Maybe definitely top 5. Yeah, it's an interesting read. I find it interesting though that if you've got an album or you do a download, I don't know, I never download stuff if I'm honest with you. I'm guessing that there's a parental guidance so that there'll be swearing in there and what have you. But with books, there is nothing. And if anyone's read I Am Ozzy, or probably one of a million books if I'm honest with you, it seems to me that the written word, you can write anything you like and not have to tell people what that warn people about it, which I find a little bit strange. And not a problem with that. I just find it, you know, films have a categorization like 18 plus or whatever it is nowadays. I don't know, and you have to have it on albums, parental guidance, but with books, nothing. So that's a bit strange in a way, but I tell you what, Flea is, yeah. There's not too many people that can play. Actually, I meant to move that microphone. That might be better. He is a bass player that's out on his own as well. I mean, they're just an interesting bunch, really. Put that down for a second. Oops, there we go. And it's like I just literally got to the bit in the book where what's his name? Chad Smith came to audition for him, and he was basically a metal guy. So you wouldn't have thought he would have worked with the Chili Peppers, and yet it works incredibly well. But yeah, Flea, as far as his bass playing is concerned, crikey, yeah, he's kind of out there, and he really is. He was a trumpet player, if I remember rightly. I did read his book as well. I don't recommend it. I thought it was boring, if I'm honest. It certainly won't be read again, that's for sure. It's funny, isn't it? You know, it's a bit like I read John Cleese's book, and I love John Cleese. You know, I was a fan of Monty Python to a certain degree, but Fawlty Towers and the films that he'd done, and Life of Brian and what have you, I mean, just class, utter class. And yet his autobiography was just turgid, and it was I don't understand that, you know. And I don't think it was until about the last 30 pages that he even mentioned Fawlty Towers, and yet, you know, maybe most people wanted to know about, but it wasn't even that much about Monty Python. It was just, it's funny, isn't it? Which one's it? Yeah, it is a good read. Yeah, it's a really good read. I think my book number one that I've read the most, without question, is I Am Ozzy, and that is just utter class. Only just come on and check that videos are uploaded. Saw your live lesson. Yeah, no worries, mate. Magic. Yeah, it'll all be archived after this anyway. We've done bar chords tonight, or majors and minors. Next week we're going to do sevenths. Week after that we're going to do sixths and sus4s. Okay, and we're just going to check how people are getting on with them. So any problems you got with bar chords, just let me know. All right. Yeah, what's everybody's top book? If people read, I mean, I it's funny because I always years ago said I would never buy a Kindle because I liked a physical book, and yet I couldn't be without my Kindle now because I can have all my library with me at any time. But I Am Ozzy, if you haven't read that, oh my goodness, what a ride, and what a guy. And he did things that you'd hate other people for, but because it's Ozzy. Oh, hello there. Yes, I. Yeah. How you getting on with that SG, man? That was great. That was with the Burl top, wasn't it? Yeah, which was a cracking piece of kit. If people haven't seen that, go across to Paul Richards, Mile House Studios, and have a look at Mr. Boxing Duo. Sammy, that's it. Sorry, Sammy. Have a look at the SG that Paul built. On that, which was great. I really loved it because there was no finish on it, and it's just a bare wood. And does it let it breathe? Yeah. Slash autobiography. Yeah, that's a good read. That is a good. I've read that a few times. Remember the bit where he was that. Well, I think it was in Hawaii or something, and he thought he was being chased by Martians. Yeah, he had a few demons. There we go. Hello, Mr. Milehouse. Hello, Mr. Richards. How are we? Still waiting for Matey's review. Which review? Hello, we're going to have an argument now. Oh, we're back to Monty Python now, aren't we? Have you come for an argument? Yes. Right. What's that? It's really funny. Yeah, the Burl top was great. See, that was lovely. Right. Okay, they're doing a review on it. All right. See you later, Stevers. Nice one. Cooking dinner. Oh, yes. Yeah, I do all the cooking in my house. I have to. Wife, I think she did actually cook me a meal in 97, and I nearly ended up in hospital. She says it wasn't her cooking, but I swear it was. We still have arguments about that now. You know, it's good to relive an old argument. Do you know what I mean? She's not watching, is she? Oh, I better lock the door. So I do all the cooking. Mind you, in all fairness, at 18, I did go off to catering college, so I did get some good training while I was there. Apart from good training in drinking when you're 18 and going to college and away from home for the first time. Yeah, that was fun. Yes, it was a part of my life. Yeah, that was a good year. That was very good year. Excuse me while I clean my glasses. They're terrible. But there we go. Sammy's mates review. Right. Okay. Well, look out for that. Where's it being reviewed, Paul? Or Sammy? Where's it being reviewed? Because that was a nice, like I say, I mean, I love wood. And that was a lovely bit of burl top. And it was great because, like I said, no finishing on it. So no big poly or anything like that. Which brings me along to a little bit of news. I went on Monday. I don't know if anyone knows Crimson Guitars that are in near Dorchester, Piddle Hinton, I think it is. And we went down and chose some wood. So I'm actually going to do what Mr. Richards did many years ago. Paul, did you do the 1 week course or did you go for a bit longer? But I'm going down there to build my own guitar. So they very, very kindly offered me a course. So I'm very lucky to be able to do it. And I love working with wood. So I'm really looking forward to that, actually, to be honest with you. So I think it's going to be fairly... Well, I didn't know what to do. And I thought, well, what do I play most? And I kind of play Strats more than anything. So I thought I'd do a Strat. But it's going to be mahogany body with a maple top. I think I've got a bird's eye maple neck with a Babinga fretboard. So that should be good. If you get a Crimson guitar, you have to do some King Crimson songs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I ain't got enough time for that. I mean, they're all about 3-hour epics, you know. But King Crimson, of course. Oh, what's his name? Married to Toya, and Robert Fripp. He's an interesting fellow. He tunes. I'm not sure how he tunes, actually. He tunes in a really odd tuning. It's obviously worked for him because he is a fantastic player. And that's for sure. But I remember seeing reviews years ago when people used to write into the paper and do reviews. And I think he supported... or was one of the support acts for Joe Satriani in Bournemouth, and I never went. I couldn't go for some reason. And apparently all he did was whale noises or something. It was all a bit strange. Adrian Bellew he is also a good one. There's a lot of people now that are using non-standard, I guess you call it, tuning. I know Tom Quayle and a few others, instead of a B it's a C, and instead of a top E it's an F. So it's all fourths basically. They say it's a lot easier. I got problems working my way around the normal tuning, let alone trying to get my head around another one. No, I'll stick to EADGBE. That's absolutely fine for me, that's for sure. Oh, you did a 5-day course. We've done very well out of it, mate, I must say. You know, I'm also in, they also emailed me today, possibly going to go on a 1-day setup course as well, if they've got one on a day that I can go to. So that'd be, I have learned a lot. And guys, you know, a lot of the stuff, setting up your guitar, you can do yourself. Please go over and watch Paul at Mile House Studios. All right, okay. He's very entertaining, but he is also very educational. This guy knows his onions. All right, and I've played enough guitars that he's set up. How much was that guitar, Paul? That green one that you gave to the school? It was something like 89 quid, and it played like a dream. I mean, obviously because Paul has set it up, and that's the thing, you know, a cheap guitar set up well is better than an expensive guitar that isn't set up well, and most of them aren't, in all fairness. You know, it is worth the investment of definitely getting £89. Yeah, £89. Crikey. I mean, what you get for that? I mean, I could go out for a meal for the two of us and it could be more than that. You know, it won't be because I'm too tight. More on the way to you. Oh, good man. Thank you, man. Just a job. I must try and get hold of whatever the name of them people were. Because I think if they sent down a couple of kits, take them into school. Because actually, funnily enough, a couple of the kids there have asked me to do a session on how to set up. Because most of them don't even know how to change a string. A lot of them can't even be bothered. You know, so, oh, I'll just take it to the local music store and they'll change it for me. Get out of it. You know, they've got to charge you money because that's how they earn it. But, oh, crikey. Do other people also have the problem of disappearing pick? Yeah, I know. Pick manufacturers actually rely on that. Yeah, if only... yeah, I don't know how many I've lost over the years. It's in the thousands. I mean, when I was gigging a lot in the sort of late 80s, early 90s, I used to buy 100 every month, I think. And they'd all go. I don't know where they go. I don't know. There's they do crop up in places, you know, like in the washing machine. Sorry, dear. But, you know, these things happen. But, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I will do. Paul, I am actually going there on... When am I going there? Tuesday. I'm going to Black Star Tuesday. I'm going to Thorpe Effects first. Then I'm going up to Northampton. And then I'm staying overnight. And then I've got the Father of Loud Day at Marshall on the Wednesday. So, sorry, mate. I meant to do that at the show. I do apologise. Honestly, it was just, well, that show was just, it was brilliant. But the 2 days just went and I still didn't do everything I wanted to do. So maybe they do need to do a third day. I don't know. But I will do, yes, there's no question about that. I'll be seeing them all in their home. So, yeah, I definitely will, mate. I'll try and sort something out for you as well. Okay, definitely. No. Love it. My dog seems to get hold of my pick and snaps. Oh dear. Yeah, just I wouldn't want to go to the vet's bill, so if he had them. Oh crikey. Yes, it is a problem. But like I say, pick manufacturers rely on you losing them. So therefore you have to go and buy more. And they are expensive, but then that is the lifeblood of your music store, guys, you know. I know you can buy them cheap online and what have you. Although it depends if you want specialty picks like or you could, you see, you could go for one of these. And I'm waiting for the next batch to come through, actually. So these are my signature pick, and they're made by Henry's. There we go, made by Henry's. They're kind of Jazz XL size, not quite as sharp a point on them, but they are tapered in on both sides. They're basically handmade. They're made of resin. And if people have problems with the picks slipping, which lots of picks do, I mean, that's got raised bits, but it just slips out your hand. These actually don't, because of the material. It's sticky, but it's not sticky. It doesn't feel sticky, but your hand, I do find it works. And they have, a pick can make a lot of difference to tone, and it really can. So these have got much more of a rounded, I mean, whether we can pick this up, let's see if, I don't know if it's going to, let's try it. Let's do some demos on picks. My God, what has my life come to? Right, so let's go to, let's have a try that. So we will try with a very sharp plasticky pick. Then I'll try it with these. Now to me, in the room, I can hear that's more rounded. Whether or not that's coming through, I don't know. They're about, at the thinnest, about 1.2, I think, 1.2 mil. I much prefer, I don't like the pick to flex too much. I use those most of the time now. Sometimes I use the Petrucci pick, depending on what I'm doing, and that's, I can't remember Dan's pick, so it's got a really sharp point. So if I've got something really, really shreddy, then I might sometimes use that, a little bit less drag. But most of the time when I'm improvising and that, I would always use that. They're not cheap though. I think they're about €10 each or something. Ouch! So you don't want to lose too many of them, if I'm honest. But like I say, it is the lifeblood of the music store, because there's no real money in guitars anymore. Not for the store. You'd be surprised what the margin is. It's not great. Not great at all. Some certain makes have a little bit more profit margin in them, I know, but I mean, years ago, 20 years ago, maybe not even that long ago, you'd always expect to go in and do a deal with someone. Now there's not really any point anymore, because of the internet and everybody price squeezing and what have you, and always try and support the local store if you can. It's really important that we have that. Now I know I promote Tom Ann and Harley Benson. You can only get them from Tom Ann, and they are really good, and you can't go far wrong with that. But that one I used there, I think, is less than £400. If you give it to someone who'd been playing a long time and there was no name on it, or you covered the name on it, I wouldn't be surprised if they said it was worth over £1,000, because it's so well built. The frets are perfect, and stainless steel. Look at, I don't know how they're doing it, but I think for your strings and everything, leads, everything, that's where the stores kind of make their money nowadays, hopefully, and long may it continue, because we do need, and of course most stores have got an in-house tech, and most are pretty good, I'm sure, so they're really worth going to and supporting, no question. Where's everybody's good store near to them? You obviously know Mr. Richards then. Reading that comment, no question. But yeah, I mean, some people I know don't have a store. If you live somewhere remote, maybe there isn't. But and there's not as many as there used to be, sadly, and that is sad. But that's the way it is. But then there's not so much of anyone. Guitar Newcastle. Right, okay, cool. I know the manager of Guitar in Birmingham is a lovely guy. Yeah, but Guitar, of course, they're all owned. They're like a cooperative now, aren't they? All the staff are shareholders, which I think is good. And hopefully you get good service, because I know, you know, in years gone by, there some stores are very clicky, and you know, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't like going in and testing out things in a store. I feel a bit self-conscious, you know. I don't like it. I never have. Luckily, a lot of these stores, I know Anderson's have, and Absolute Music near me, they do. They've got some little private booths that you can go in, and that's much better. But obviously, sometimes if it's a sort of smaller mum and pop shop, as they call it, they haven't. But yeah, but I actually agree with you there. You're frustrated as the stores carry almost no left-handed inventory. Yeah, I know. It is a bit of a git, that. And it really is. I understand why as well, because obviously I'm not sure what the kind of is it 1 in 10 people are left-handed, 1 in 15, something like that. I'm not really sure. So obviously, you know, especially high end, you could imagine having like a $2 grand, $3 grand left-handed guitar that could be on the wall for years. Well, they're never going to make any money out of that, that's for sure. So and it is a problem. So I kind of get that, and I do feel sorry for left-handed players, you know, and I really do. And it's one of those things. I've got left-handed players. I've got actually one, I think, at the moment, who decided that they wanted to play right-handed, which is fine. Don't forget, Gary Moore was left-handed. He played it right-handed. Does it make a difference when you start? I really don't know. I can't tell you, because I'm not left-handed, so I wouldn't have a clue. But I always find it quite ironic, really, that I'm a right-handed player, but most of the work is done with my left hand. That maybe that's just me being an idiot. I don't know. I do being an idiot very well, though. But there we go. Glasgow. I think Glasgow, haven't they? There was a chain of shops up there that went bust a while ago, or not that long ago, I believe. They had about 6 or 7 stores in Scotland, which was again, I mean, you know, we lost GAC, we lost PMT, not good at all. West Coast of Scotland. Oh, but we have Air Guitar. Is there really a store called Air Guitar? Oh, I love it. That is probably the best guitar name out there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can you change the string on my air guitar? Yeah, fabulous. Big store electric guitar. Acoustics downstairs. There was sunroom. That's good. I mean, you know, if the store can have that. I know I've got to go to Bolton later on in the year, I think, because Scan Audio are opening up a shop, and I believe they might have a thing, a separate room. And I think it's a good idea to have that if you can. I wanted a Donna and Enya goes on. Enya not well. Actually, funny. I do a lot of work for Enya, and funnily enough, I did say to them the other day. I asked them about the X Mari, because that's like a sub brand of Enya, which is a great beginner's guitar. I'd take that over a Squire Strat any day of the week, and I really would. And that's genuine. Okay, if I don't like it, I'll tell you. And they said they were looking into it. And I think they should. I really do. Left-handed but plays better with a right-handed guitar. Yeah. I don't know. I think what I did with the student was we have got a left-handed. We've only got one. But I believe that could be 2 soon, Mr. Richards. Thank you so much. And I said, look, which one, and they were complete beginner, which one do you feel more comfortable with? And they said, well, I don't have a preference. And I said, well, if you don't have a preference, start with right-handed, because I think if it's not feeling one way or the other, go right-handed, because you have more choice, you'll probably spend less. There's a lot of advantages to it. I don't know, but I do genuinely feel for left-handed players. I really do, you know. Where are we? Yeah, so right, saving up to have a custom offset left-handed guitar built. Cool. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's another thing as well, is support your local luthier. I'm sure Mr. Richards won't mind me saying that. But there's a lot of really good small builders out there. Now, obviously I played loads of Paul's, and they are great, okay, and they just play like a dream. They really do. And it's nice to have something that's really custom, you know, you can have to. So I'm really looking forward to building my own, because that'll be a lot of fun. I mean, I'll probably cock it right up. Yeah, I can hear you laughing from here, Paul, I'll tell you. Right. Yeah, I probably will. They did say, actually, if you're bringing some nuts with you, no jokes, please, Mr. Richards, then bring a few, because when you cut your own nut, you very rarely get it right the first time. I can understand that. But support, you know, but I got that one at the show, which was a Rob Williams one, and I love that. I was playing that during the week. I just done a video with it. Yeah, again, such a nice. There's a lot to, and when you think of the cost of a custom built guitar, it's really, I don't know, if you've got, and I know it's a lot of money, 2,000 to 3,000 is going to get you pretty much what you want to your spec. Now, if you went into a store, you know, a Les Paul Standard's now 2,500, probably more. A custom shop Strat would be more than that. And these are still mass of a custom shop. Well, it's basically, yeah. Are they? I'm not really sure. No idea. Allegedly. You know, are they? They're all just picked out off the line. They're all just chucked together. So to have something to your specs for that sort of money, it's to me, it's a no-brainer. I never used to think like that until I went to Paul's, and then I was totally sold on it. No question about it, you know. Les Paul Modern Standard, also Gibson twice the price. No, I know, honestly, Gibson and Fender, their quality control is not great. And those Les Pauls that I've got from Harley Benson, they're brilliant, and a tenth of the price, you know. Mind you, they don't do a lot of left-handed, I don't think, which is a shame. But play right-handed violin. Yeah, that's actually interesting. They do, and I didn't know this till a while ago, they do actually make a left-handed violin, but it's only, and I'm using their words, not mine, this was the violin teacher, in extreme circumstances. And I get why, because you can imagine in an orchestra, hang on, they'll be going that way, there'll be eyes coming out all over the place, won't there? And of course, there's no such thing as a left-handed piano that I know of. So I don't know. Yeah, support your local luthier. Really, really, yeah. Also, yeah, honestly, I really don't. I think we're in a situation now, and I don't think there's ever been a better time to get into guitar. That's for sure. Because what you can get for your money now is just like completely anything above what we started with. You know, you can just, for not a lot of money, you don't need to spend that money anymore. Unless you want, like I say, you want something that's custom built to you. So you think, because no guitar's perfect. That one that I played tonight, loved it, but the marker dots, no good. Actually, Paul, there's a good one. can you change the marker dots on that guitar? I'm thinking of coming down again, mate. I'm getting withdrawal symptoms. So maybe that would make a good video. And then I'll get them changed for free. I'll do some demos. But I love that guitar, but I can't see the marker dots. So I presume there's no reason, and it's an unfinished maple neck. No reason, I guess, why we can't drill them out and put new ones in so I can actually see what I'm doing. Might be able to play the right notes then. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Let me know on that one, mate. Could be a good one. Yeah, it is that SG, that SG. And if you want to go and hear how good that SG is, I did the demo. But it was great. It was one of the longer ones because I kept playing it. And he managed to find about 3 minutes where I didn't make a mistake, which was pretty unusual. Yeah, but that's it. Even honestly, but you take a cheap guitar to a lid, it's going to cost you the same as an expensive one. But they both need it. I've never bought. I mean, the most expensive guitar I ever bought was my 40th birthday present to myself, which was a fair few years ago now, which was my PRS. And that I still needed to spend money on getting it set up, even though they come set up quite well out of the box. But everybody's got their own, you know, like I don't like it too low an action and what have you. So, you know, it's always worth spending the money getting it. You're going to get the absolutely, there's no point having a brilliant guitar, but it doesn't play very well. Go and get it set up. It's the best money you'll ever spend. It really is. Every instrument is worth saving as much as possible, no matter how cheap. Yeah, it's, you know, but I think we're really lucky now that, you know, you don't have to spend a fortune. You know, I was always of the camp, I must buy American Fender. Oh, you know, and I must buy American. You don't. In actual fact, that telly that I've got is a Mexican one. I bought it on a special, and I had deluxe Fender American Deluxe, and I never really got on with it. That one, as soon as I played it, loved it. Sounds better, plays better. Well, it played better after I'd had some work done on it, let's put it that way, because Mexico Fenders, not even American Fender, not the best at finishing, I'll tell you that now. The frets weren't great, but it sounds better than the American one. Wood is wood, you know. I don't know. You got the Tom and are a really good company. They are pretty huge. I must try and get over there at some point, actually, because I'd certainly like to have a look around, because they are massive. I mean, they're big here, but in Europe, it's like Sweetwater in America, isn't it? They're absolutely huge over there. But Tom Ann is Europe's Sweetwater. But, you know, I bought stuff from them before I started doing some jobs for them, and they were always good. And I've never heard any bad reports, if I'm honest. Whereas there's another company that's based, that actually went bust, but I believe is starting up again. Well, why shouldn't I mention it? Bax. I mean, I only hope it's different people, because they were just dreadful people to deal with. Unbelievably bad. The customer service was horrendous, and I mean horrendous. Yeah, whereas with Tom Ann, I did have a problem with the case actually once, and it was sorted out within 2 hours. Whereas I had a problem with Bax, and that took 4 months, 5 months, something like that. I don't know, it's crazy. They're anyway, I believe they went bust, but they're up and running again. I just hope they're different people now, and they're looking after their customers. You need to, you know, customer service is worth spending extra money for, and it really is. I have a Mexican Strat, 30 years. Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, the Mexicans, now whether this is still true or not, I don't know, but I know years ago, basically, Fender would load up the truck, from the same wood store as the Americans ones are building, go over the border, which wasn't far, and then get them put together by Mexican people because they work for like $20 a day, and an American wants $150 or $200 a day. But I do believe that Fender cannot now even say that they are, and I believe this is true, they're not made in the USA anymore, because a lot of the parts aren't made in the USA. So I think it's now made in Corona, California, or something like that. But I believe they've had to change the way. But then that's happened in the bike world with Harley Davidson. They're not made in America anymore, because the parts come from all over the world. They're assembled in America. Anyone got a Harley? I've always fancied one, but to be honest with you, the money they want for them, and I don't believe they're the most reliable, but I love my Triumph, I must admit, I do. Made a point in the Anderton. Yes, yeah, that was a great video, guys. Go and watch that with Paul Richards at Anderton's, when he started the video with saying, for 99.9% of people, a classic vibe is good enough. You don't need a Fender custom shop. And do you know what? I agree. And I do. I think if you've got the money, then fine, you know, but don't think it's going to be that much better. I don't believe it can be, you know. Oh, I don't know. If you can afford it, then go for it. But to be honest with you, the classic vibes are really good, and they are. Give tips for the bridge of Don't Stop Believing. Which bit? I daren't play it because I've already had one telling off for using that AI song. Which is the bridge bit? I'm trying to think. I know the solo really well. I've done that a few times, and we'll play the whole song a few times, I think. Trying to think. I'll have a look. Let me make a note, because do you know what? I reckon I keep blooming post-its in business, if I'm honest. Let's have a look. I'll have a listen. Bridge to Don't Stop Believing. One week we will do, and I really want to do this as well, is to really break down Hey Joe, the rhythm parts, and look at how Hendrix played it and not how most people play it, because that's just such a rhythm, a classic case of, you know, what a great player he was. In all fairness, I went bust, but the new people honoured my outstanding order. Oh, okay, which is cool. Oh, really? Okay, well, I hope so. And like I say, I hope they're new people now. I don't like to see people go bust, but my goodness. And I wasn't the only ones. I wasn't the only one who was having problems with them either. I'll have a look. Yes, I will. Can I play Black Knight Deep Purple? Yeah. I've done that. I've gigged that a few times, I think. You know, well, you want to have a look at the riff. Yeah. He's going to make a fool of himself now. Oh, God, this is a few years since I played that one. If I get a telling off for doing this. A lot of delay on that. I don't think Richie had that much delay on. Come out. I'll just turn the delay off. There we go. Is it just a riff you want to learn? That's it. But yeah, that's great riff. Richie was a great player, and a really good player. I did hear, whether it's true or not, he was trying to get back into the band, I think, when Steve Morse came out. But they said no. I don't know. I think they maybe should have done, for old time's sake. I mean, that would be a winner. But having said that, I do know a couple of people who saw them on different occasions not that long ago, and they walked out. They said it wasn't that great. So I don't know. No idea. Right, guys, I got to go in and see my wife, I guess, in a minute. What is this? It's an FSR telly, Mexican in Sienna Sunburst. Obviously a veneer top. I think it's older. Great neck, satin feeling. Oh, Perfect Strangers is great. Sometimes I Feel Like Screaming is probably my favourite one. I normally play that on the way to school. I don't know why. I've no idea really. Always comes into my head. Strange. I don't know. The break. Not the solo to Don't Stop Believing. Don't know. Leave a message there. Guys, I'm just going to have a bit of play out on the telly. Why not? Let's just, hang on, make sure that's air. Let's have a listen. Hang on. Close enough for jazz. Right, okay, so I use the signature pick that you can buy from Henry's, I believe. I think they're out. And they're doing me a little one as well, because I like the little ones. But there we go. So, the fast part. I will have a listen. Okay. Yeah, and we will do some Hendrix. I'm going to break down. So, guys, I better go in and see the wife. So, I'm just going to do a couple of minutes of playing out. And I'll see you next Friday. Yeah, it's weird. It just keeps feeling like a Saturday to me. I don't know why. Let me just pop that back there, because that seemed to work better. Why am I so useless with this? Don't know. Well, I'm just useless, full stop. Okay then, guys. Thanks for tuning in. What the blooming heck's going on here? Oh, I hate microphone stands. Oh no, that's going to feed back there. And I will see you next Friday, but I'll do a bit of playing out, same backing. By the way, this is another one of Gary's Jam Tracks 247. He's my go-to. Oh yeah, Happy Easter, guys. I forgot, it's Good Friday today, isn't it? He's my go-to for all my backing tracks nowadays, if I'm honest. Him and Tom are elevated. And let me just turn that down because that's feeding back. And yeah, it's one of his. This one's called a Sad Crying Blues guitar backing track in C minor. But really nice track. So a couple of minutes of playing out. Guys, have a super long extended weekend. And next Friday be interesting because, like I say, I'm going to Blackstar, Thorpe and Marshall. And possibly somewhere else as well. And that'll be interesting to see what's happening there. And I can't wait to go to Marshall as well, because I've never been to the factory and they say it's brilliant, and I've got such a long history with Marshall. It's yeah, it's great. Okay then, guys, I'll see you next week. I'm going to make some noise on the way out. Here we go. in C minor, that one, guys. C minor, which is my favourite key, which is unusual for a guitarist because it's a flat key. Get that down there. But I don't know why. I've always just liked the tonality of C minor. No idea. Anyway, I better go and do the dutiful, I suppose. And guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in tonight, and hopefully see you, and good luck with the Barre Chords. Any problems, we'll address them next week, okay? And I will see you then. Cheers, guys. Bye.